What would you give to someone as advice if they're just starting out in this craft?
If they're starting out as a fuser, I'd advise them to start cutting glass and stick it in a kiln. So many times people will say, how should I start this? And then what book should I buy? What class should I go to? Myself, I'm self-taught. The first year I did it, I started cutting glass and firing it. I'd read some information, but then I started pushing, just cut it up and see what happens. Make mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
A lot of people are really afraid with that. They're afraid they're going to screw it up. I mean, glass is very expensive, so it's hard to play with it and just let go and let the creativity flow, and that's absolutely what you're doing. You're just letting it come out.
What I tell people is the glass, it's not very expensive, by the way. It's kind of expensive, but it's not very expensive. And the molds are the same way, and the kiln. Everything is just a tool. The most valuable thing is your creativity and your time. And so that's very important to me. I've made probably more mistakes than anybody with glass, but that's how I learn. I don't learn by somebody telling me you can't do that. One, I don't necessarily believe them because there are things we do that we were told couldn't be done. And so now I have to make that mistake repeatedly sometimes before I believe it. And then I'll try and figure out, well, why? And so you can learn in that process. And so I'm not a person that, and this is true I do oil painting also. And so when I do art, I'm almost more about the process than I am the finished thing. I mean, the finished thing's important to me, but that creative process and expressing yourself, I mean, that's really what this is about. I know a lot of people go out and they sell glass, and that's kind of how they supplement their income. But in real life, we're doing this all because we have a creative drive and we need to express it.
Absolutely. Are you seeing a lot of your painting come out in your art as you're doing these things? I look at your nativity mold and some of your other texture molds, and it looks like you've painted. Is that where that inspiration comes from, or the idea?
Bit. I think so, a little bit. That nativity texture I drew, and so I do get to express that to that part of me that likes to draw or paint. And so, like my watercoloring and things like that, I'm loose. Whereas I have some projects that I'll do with a friend of mine that's in town that's a very tight artist. And we'll be sitting here side by side, and we have a peacock texture, for example, which to me, it's okay if a little bit of the amber gets in with the green. It's cool. No, not so much. He will use a pipette and get every little thing filled with one color. And that's what he wants in his process. But with me, I like it to blend a little bit, or sometimes the mistakes are the good part.
Absolutely. What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given as a glass artist, or even as an artist in general?
Well, I had somebody tell me that sometimes I need to stop. Sometimes the process can be so much fun that you can get carried away with it. Now, that's just me. I have a tendency, like the first slurry one I did, I had a tendency to overwork it just because the process was so important to me. And so I did have somebody stop at me when I was oil painting and tell me, at some point somebody has to look at the painting. And so that is for me. I'm the opposite. Some people will overwork it because they want the detail. I love the process so much that I have a tendency to overwork.
Tell us what's next for you and the business.
Well, we are constantly looking for new things to do with fusible glass, but we're also, bottle slumping and bottle art is very popular in our line, and so we're continuing to look at new things to do with bottles. We've recently come out with a bottle slump that has a dropout center. It's kind of pushing the envelope on bottle slumping, and so that's one thing we're focusing on a little bit more. And then we're changing the way we're doing texture molds a little bit so that we can kind of mimic stained glass a little bit. We're just changing some things that we're doing, some of the things we've done in the past, just to see how that works for the fuser. But we're constantly coming out with something new, and might not be a brand new concept, but it's a new twist to an old concept. And so that's really one of the things we do. We're going to come out with more Patty Gray dam molds.
Wonderful.
Those have been very popular, and we recently had her do a workshop and show us some things and suggest some new shapes and some new things like that. And so her product line seems to continue to go, and so we're going to continue to make some more things for her. And we're going to make more, probably going to make some more serving
Some more
ideas. So we have this adorable spoons that we did. I've actually made a pie server, just haven't put it into the line yet. We have, for every one item that we've actually put into production, we've probably tested 3. One was a really bad idea and stupid. The other 2, kind of good ideas, kind of shoved to the side, run with the other. And so we have a lot of things that we've just never come to market with that probably, you know, if we had enough time and resources, we could come out with more innovations. And so there's a lot of things we have on the back burner that you will be able to see next year as we move.
It'll be so much fun.
Well, Delphi does a really great job for Creative Paradise, and you guys do your job, you sell. Creative Paradise's job is to make innovative molds. It's our job to stand behind our innovation and to create tutorials and tools for the end user to be able to most successfully use our molds. It's also our job to promote our molds, to let people know about them, but it's Delphi's job to service the customer, and you and our other distributors do a fabulous job. And we are very thankful for our distributor network, and we know that there's a great deal of value in that.
Thank you for your time, Stephanie. We appreciate you sitting down to talk with us, and we really appreciate Creative Paradise and your innovative products.
Well, thank you. Thank everybody at Delphi, and thank your customers for the continued business.